For many types of internet-based startup projects, you don't need a technical co-founder. I'm going to qualify that statement and tell you why. It's because you can use tools, app builders like WordPress or Bubble.io, which is my specialization and hands down my preference, to build your prototype, your minimum viable product, to launch that to your initial market of customers, get feedback, iterate very quickly on that, and then you can use your prototype to acquire investor and seed funds, and then you can build your application in another environment, in a new version that may be more scalable. So I've been actually building apps for startups for about a year now as a freelance developer, and I build exclusively in Bubble and Bubble.io. And one thing I notice consistently is that if these people had my clients that had the ability to develop things themselves, they would really not run into a lot of the problems that they run into when we work together, because a lot of times they're on a tight budget. They really they have a vision that they can't totally clearly relate to me, but they can see it in their head, and they knew that if they had the skills to draw it out themselves, they'd be able to do that. And what I wanted to come in here and say is that building an application in Bubble.io and a fully functioning web app, similar to like a minimum viable product of Twitter or Facebook or some type of directory listing, it's not that technically complicated. In fact, I think the average person could learn how to do it within a month of investing some time. And I know that that's some initial upfront investment, but if you're actually serious about starting some type of idea-based business on the internet that involves custom programming, custom development of a website, I would highly recommend that you consider learning these skills. It's nothing compared to the investment that is required to learn multiple programming languages. In fact, it's something that I personally struggled with when I had my own ideas of what kind of apps that I wanted to launch, and I looked at different coding languages and I was totally overwhelmed. It wasn't until I discovered Bubble that I realized, wow, there's actually a far less painful way to do this. I don't have to sit here and sift through a whole bunch of lines of code and worry about all this complicated syntax. Everything is spelled out for me clearly. I can draw elements on the page. I can write out the logic in a really clear way that even imagine. So when I look at some project requirements for some of the projects that I've applied for and as a freelancer, and I'm looking at their specs, they're basically laying everything out that they could have written right into Bubble. It literally, they could just translate their English description of how they want the app to work right into Bubble. That's how simple it is. I mean, it's as simple as like you click on this page, okay, show this pop-up, go to this page, for example, instead of writing something in a new language. I mean, it's really seamless. So something that I would really love to show people, and this is what this website is all about. It's about teaching people how to build applications in Bubble. Hope you find it tremendously valuable. Hope you check out some of the courses as well later if you want a really in-depth review of how to build an application A to Z. I will cover many other tips and tricks on this site. So my goal is for you to go on here, have all the resources you need to succeed and build your first set of applications or whatever your heart desires, and unleash your creative potential.